What if I told you that Samsung didn't just update One UI, they quietly changed the entire feel of using a Galaxy phone? What if this is the first time in years that an Android skin actually feels fresh, modern, and fun again? And what if One UI 8.5 is actually preparing your phone for something much bigger coming next? Today, after using One UI 8.5 for a long time, I'm going to tell you the full truth. What's amazing, what's missing, and why this update feels more important than it looks. And before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss daily tech updates. After spending weeks with One UI 8.5, the first thing you notice is not a feature, not a setting, not even performance, it's the feeling. The entire interface feels more alive, more layered, and more premium. Samsung has completely refined the visual language of One UI. Everything now feels like it's floating slightly above the screen, with soft shadows, smooth blur, gentle gradients, and a sense of depth that makes the UI feel modern and almost three-dimensional. Icons feel more vibrant, menus feel more breathable, and the whole system feels less flat and more expressive without becoming childish. It's one of those updates where you don't immediately say, wow, big changes, but after a few days, you realize you don't want to go back. The quick panel is a perfect example of this new design philosophy. It's cleaner, more customizable, and finally feels like it belongs in 2026. You can resize toggles, move things exactly where you want them, remove what you don't use, and build a control center that actually fits your daily usage. This level of freedom makes the phone feel personal again, like it's truly yours. And yes, some of this inspiration clearly comes from other platforms, but at this point, what matters is not who did it first. What matters is that it finally feels right here. Samsung has also made a very smart decision by moving search bars and important controls closer to the bottom of the screen across the system. You see this in settings, in the app drawer, in gallery, in my files, and in many other places. This sounds small, but in daily use, it makes one-handed usage dramatically more comfortable. Once you get used to this, older versions of One UI suddenly feel awkward and top-heavy. The settings app itself now looks much cleaner, less cluttered, and more modern, with better spacing and a more visual layout that's easier on the eyes. Another area where One UI 8.5 really shines is customization. This version doesn't just let you change wallpapers and icons, it lets you shape the experience. The quick panel, the interface elements, and the overall layout now give you a feeling of control that older versions simply didn't have. This is the kind of software that makes you enjoy tweaking your phone again, not because you have to, but because it's actually fun. Now let's talk about performance and smoothness, because this is where One UI 8.5 quietly improves a lot. Animations are smoother, transitions feel more natural, and the system feels more consistent. It's not a night and day difference on paper, but in real use. Everything feels more polished and more stable. The phone just feels calmer, more confident, and more refined. The camera app hasn't changed dramatically on the surface, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The core experience is already solid. What's interesting is what's happening behind the scenes. With Camera Assistant and the new options being added, you can clearly see that Samsung is laying the groundwork for much bigger camera upgrades in the next generation of devices. Pro Mode and Pro Video now feel more serious, more creator-focused, and more flexible. Clean preview, better controls, and more advanced options hint at where things are going, not just where they are today. Galaxy AI is another area where One UI 8.5 feels like a real step forward instead of a gimmick. The generative editing tools are now faster, smarter, and much more intuitive. Removing objects from photos feels more natural. And the best part is that you can keep editing without starting over. The system now remembers your edit history, so you can go back, change your mind, and experiment without fear of ruining the photo. This turns photo editing into something creative instead of stressful. Video editing is also moving in an interesting direction, especially with log video support and better color correction tools. While it's still not perfect, and LUT support is not fully there yet, you can clearly see Samsung preparing One UI for a more serious content creation future. This tells us a lot about what Samsung is planning for upcoming devices, especially for people who care about video quality and post-production. Samsung DeX is another underrated highlight of One UI 8.5. The ability to use multiple desktops makes it feel much closer to a real PC experience. You can separate workspaces, organize tasks, and actually treat your phone like a productivity machine. It still needs better multi-monitor support, but the direction is very promising, and for the first time, DeX feels like a serious long-term project, not just a side feature, of course. This is still not a perfect update. Some good luck modules are still not fully updated. Some features people have been waiting for are still missing. There are small bugs here and there, especially in beta versions. And sometimes the lock screen or UI elements don't behave exactly as they should, but honestly, none of these issues feel like deal breakers. They feel temporary. What really matters is the direction. One UI 8.5 doesn't feel like just another update. It feels like a new chapter for Samsung's software design. It feels like the foundation for something much bigger that's coming next. After using it for a long time, it's very hard to go back to older versions because everything else suddenly feels outdated and less thoughtful. So the big question is, should you be excited about One UI 8.5? The answer is yes, not because of one single feature, but because of the overall experience. This is the kind of update that makes your phone feel new again without changing the hardware, and that's the best kind of update if you're already using One UI 8.5. Let me know in the comments how your experience has been so far, and if you're waiting for it. Trust me, this one is worth the wait. This is Tech Insights, and I'll see you in the next one.